The Kansas City Chiefs, chasing their third straight Super Bowl. Need to remind everyone that's never happened in Super Bowl history and NFL history.
No.
And the Chiefs are going to try to run it back with arguably the best quarterback-coach combo in the league. What's stopping them?
It's not argument.
With what is the best coach combo
there
in the
is
league?
no argument, and honestly, at this point, look, it's becoming historic. I mean, you look at coach quarterback combos that have won 3 Super Bowls, right? You've got Bill and Tom. They won 6. You got Pittsburgh that won 4, although, with Bradshaw, I don't know. Like, Bradshaw's a very unique character in that no one gives him any credit, which is a shame. You won 4 Super Bowls, give him his credit, but you kind of know who's responsible for those. Aikman didn't win 3 with Jimmy. Aikman won 2, and then he won 1 with Barry Switzer. So you take that out. I mean, so, Shanahan and Elway, they won 2. I mean, you are in
rarefied air already.
Beyond rarefied air. I mean, the idea that you've just won 3 Super Bowls, you're already in rarefied air. And the fact that you've done it with the same coach and the same quarterback, and by the way, you've done it in a very, very short period of time, you've already stamped your name in the record books, because Montana won 3 with
Walsh,
right? And was the last one that Montana won, was that with, well, I know Steve Young's was with Seifert.
That's right.
I don't know if Montana's last one was with Walsh or not.
I don't recall. I was too young, or
I
was not born, one of the two.
I would have to go back and look that up, because that would be the other one that would be there. So, I mean, you're already talking about a top 2 or 3 coach quarterback combo of all time, and they've been together for what, like 5-6 years?
6 years, yeah.
I mean, that's
right. That is that it? They've done 3 and 6, right? Is that correct?
So Walsh he won 3 Super Bowls. So yeah, Walsh won 3 with Montana, and then Seifert won 1 with Joe, and then would have won 1 with Steve. So as far as I know, and again, maybe I'm just my heads up my arse, although, you got Lombardi and Starr, but that wasn't
different era
and Super Bowls versus, championships. But is that it? You've got Walsh, you've got Bill and Tom, and you've got Lombardi and Starr, and then Andy and Pat Mahomes. I don't think there's anyone else. Right?
I don't know that you're missing anybody. I think that's it. At least off the top of my head. I'm now scanning the list, trying to see if we did miss one, but I don't think so. I think that's it.
Yeah, I believe that's it. So, I mean, and if they do this and they win 3 in a row, something that no one has done, the only one that you're really going to have an argument against is Tom, because, well, you got 6. That's something special.
P1 Costa's in. He says, "Man, I'm a Chiefs fan, and I don't think they can do it. But I've said the last 3 years. It's tough even to go back to the AFC Championship game. After last year, I'm just enjoying the ride. Hopefully they get more. But, man, I'm lucky to be a fan after the decade of crap QBs before Smith and Mahomes came along."
Yeah, and I would agree. The last 2 years, I did not believe in the Kansas City Chiefs either season. I looked at them and was like, no.
Well, they put it on tape that they gave you good reason not to believe in them. It was one of those things, I feel like it often ends up being such a cliche in sports, the peaking at the right time, but they seem to, especially this last season, seem to get it rolling right when they had to.
Yeah,
and they didn't give you much before that to indicate, we've got the goods to run this back, to do this again.
And especially the one 2 years ago, that just wasn't a great team, in my opinion. It just wasn't. And then, I sat there and I was like, that defense won them a Super Bowl. And then the last year, I bet against them against Baltimore. I didn't believe that. I thought San Francisco was going to get them. And they have reached that point to me that bet against Kansas City, bet against Andy Reid, and bet against Patrick Mahomes at your own demise.
Yep.
So, I mean, again, odds are the fact that it's never been done before, they're not going to do it. Because, again, you have to stay healthy. Kelsey towards the middle of the year last year did not look like
started disappearing.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden come playoffs, I don't know what the hell he got on. He got on some Taylor Swift, but that guy had a rocket up his ass. Taylor Swift, and seemed to figure it out. But I was like, that receiving core, and yet there they are with a championship. So the coaches to win multiple 3 Super Bowls: Andy Reid, Bill Belichick, Chuck Noll, Joe Gibbs, but he won them with different quarterbacks.
Different QBs, yeah.
And Bill Walsh. So yes, Andy Reid and Mahomes have already done something that only 3 other coaches in the history of the NFL have done,
And I'll ask
and are
this.
now attempting something that no one's ever done.
I'll ask this to both of you. So, what is the biggest threat to the Chiefs? Is it their own deterioration and just how hard it is to keep both the enthusiasm and the talent all in the building, or is it other people catching up in either being able to stop what they do or just getting closer personnel-wise to them?
I would go with 2. One is the hangover. Those are long years. I had a buddy of mine that won a Super Bowl with Pittsburgh. Brett Kiesel was a D lineman.
Great beard.
Great beard. Dude puts mine to absolute shame. I got a solid beard. Dude, this is amateur.
And that's a hard thing to do, put your beard to shame. But
Yeah.
his was epic.
Oh, dude, Brett Kiesel could grow my beard.
He could barely wear a chin strap.
He could grow my beard in a weekend. I think if he really applied himself, like he just sat in a room and thought about it, he would have my beard in a weekend. But I remember talking to him, and there was another one of my teammates, Chris Hoke. They were 2 BYU guys that I played with and we're good buddies, and they won a Super Bowl there in Pittsburgh. And they were talking to me about just how long that year was when you go through the playoffs and then you win the Super Bowl and then you go on the parade, and there just is that kind of that natural process of it's exhausting. You're at the top of the mountain and it's very hard to immediately get back into it, and you have a lot of commitments, and a lot of the guys get paid, and a lot of guys are now getting pulled in different directions because when you're a Super Bowl champ and
You're getting invited to everything. Your school wants to celebrate you.
Yes.
You're like you're getting the red carpet rolled out for you everywhere, and it's happening to all 53 guys and the staff.
And before you know it, there's camp. I didn't get to see that because when I was part of the one in Tampa, I was shipped off immediately after the season to go to NFL Europe. I didn't even get to be part of like the parade or anything.
Right.
Like the NFL Europe was like, hey, by the way, like
need you now.
Yeah, go. Like and off I went. But I remember.
That's crazy. I didn't know that you didn't get to go to the parade.
Oh no, dude. I was busy. I was busy being over in Scotland doing God knows what. But I was talking to again some of the guys, and they all were just talking about how exhausting it was. And so that's why that hangover is real, and it's true in the NBA. You see how like uninterested the Denver Nuggets looked because you work so hard to get there, and then you get to the top. And Nick Saban has said this a million times over that winning a title isn't hard. Winning a second one is hard. Winning a third one is hard. So Kansas City is now, think of the war that Kansas City went through 2 years ago and get through all that crap. And then they go back and they do it again. And now you're asking, and Travis Kelce, and I'm not saying that people have their eyes off the ball, but Travis Kelce's running around the world with Taylor Swift. And Mahomes, we've seen Mahomes. He kind of became a fat ass. Look,
he's always kind of chubby, though.
I know, but dude, he doesn't look in good shape. I guarantee that guy took some time this offseason where he did nothing but eat banana bread and whatever. His wife's like, yeah, his wife's shredded, and whatever weight she lost, he found. Right? Andy Reid's doing more commercials than he knows what to do. And so you've got all these young defenders who are still fighting to try to get paid, but now they've got a couple Super Bowls under their belt, and maybe there's a sense of entitlement there. You've switched out some more offensive linemen. Chris Jones, finally got paid.
Yep.
And so now he's set for life.
But that's less money for everybody else to fill all the holes around you.
But again, if you're Chris Jones, you fought so hard and you got this big contract. Maybe, do you like, yeah, man, I got mine, hey, I'm good no matter what. Like all these things start to drag on in year 3. So if you ask me what the biggest threat to the Kansas City Chiefs is, it's just that.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, you have to stay healthy and rest of the teams. Think about how razor thin both of those Super Bowl wins were.
And take everybody else's best shot still.
Yeah.
Like I know that, like, for example, you look at their schedule, and like right out of the gate, you get an AFC Championship game rematch with the Ravens. And like early on, it's pretty stacked. There's a lot of marquee games where everybody is going to be, for the most part, healthy and trying to knock off the champs.
Yeah. Well, and remember, I'm not going to say half, but the NFL is a war of attrition.
Mm-hmm.
It just is. Like a big part of who wins and who loses, and when you get to the end of the year and who gets into the playoffs is just who's left standing, because there's no one healthy.
It's the Will Ortner. It's the availability.
Availability.
100%.
So you look through Kansas City, and obviously Mahomes is the biggest one, and he's been tremendously durable. He had the ankle, but I mean, that guy is an absolute warrior.
Yep.
But there's not great depth there at the running back position, and Pacheco runs hard. And then after that, you got Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like, not a ton of depth there. The receiving core is spotty at best. And I know you added Xavier Worthy in there, but he's a rookie. Like, you get a receiver or two that pulls a hammy. Again, you've had to go through and revamp your offensive line. Again, offensive line health. The reason why they lost the 1 year that they lost, what happened? They had no O-line.
They got blown
Both their
up.
tackles were done.
Yep.
And Tampa Bay absolutely ripped them a new one. Why? Because both tackles got hurt.
Yeah, their whole O-line, I remember being banged up in that one.
Yeah. So, it just, that, I would say injury, fluke, trying to stay healthy for a third year in a row, and just, there has to be some fatigue. There just has to be some fatigue for how long those seasons and those off seasons have been for those Kansas City teams.
I think if they're going to have a chance to repeat, you're going to have to see the same success in November, December, and January that they had. And the reason they had it is because Creed Humphreys was playing as the best center in all of football, and Thuney and Smith were absolute road graders.
Yeah.
And that's what was able to kind of launch Pacheco into turning into a postseason performer. Like, his numbers drastically increased in what he was able to do. I mean, think about the Baltimore Ravens game. They scored all their points in the first half, and then it was Pacheco and that interior three on the O-line just beating down the Ravens and getting first downs when they needed it. And so I think the last two Super Bowls, you've seen that running game and that offensive line kind of come into the fold. Patrick Mahomes' greatness, but you need that second punch, right? You can have a jab, but you got to have a hook as
That's
well.
why they had Carson Wentz, right?
And that's where it seems to be coming from those interior three in that run game. If they can stay healthy, I'm not going to count them out. If you can run the football in January when it's cold, when it's snowing, when it's wet, when it's raining, you're always going to have a chance.
And week 6 is their bye. That means they got to, if they don't have the bye, if they don't end up with the 1 seed, you got to play 10 straight weeks? Actually, no, you got to play 11 straight weeks and then go into the playoffs. So, it's a giant mountain to climb, but it is going to be fascinating to watch, because even though I'm kind of over Kansas City, I love watching excellence and I love watching history, and I'll be I think me and every other football fan, our eyes are going to be on it.